To compensate for the shortage of people in the army, Ukraine resorts to international recruitment. In particular, it is betting on Latin America. The Economist reported in its article about the problems that Ukrainian recruiters and the recruits themselves have to face. According to the publication, a recruiting center opened in western Ukraine in May, which launched a campaign to attract volunteers from abroad. It is noted that foreigners' interest in serving in Ukraine is growing. According to coordinators, up to 100 applications are received daily. Volunteers pay their own way to Ukraine and serve on equal terms with Ukrainian soldiers. But their salary on the front lines, which is $3,000 a month, is probably several times higher than the average income in South American countries, which is an additional incentive to accept the offer to serve in Ukraine. According to Oleksiy Bezhevets, an official at the Ukrainian Defense Ministry who oversees the program, Ukraine hopes to attract several thousand volunteers from abroad per month. This should help compensate for the lack of mobilization resources, since the Ukrainian Armed Forces currently mobilize 27,000 people per month, which is about 15,000 fewer than in Russia. At the same time, Ukraine's recruitment of volunteers from Latin America has its challenges. The article notes, in particular, the publication points to the strengthening of Russian influence there, which forces Ukraine to act cautiously. In addition, the visa problem complicates the passage of future military personnel through Europe. Subsequently, journalists say foreigners have a hard time adapting to new conditions, including unfamiliar cuisine, harsh weather, and the threat of shelling. According to Ortiz, a 33-year-old former Marine from Colombia, the hardest thing for many Latin Americans is not washing for weeks on end, and they are also shocked by the field toilets. Another challenge is communication. Commanders do not always speak the relevant languages, so at night they do not speak at all. We have developed our own ways of communicating. For example, touching the ear can mean friend or foe. A 60-year-old Brazilian exercise coordinator told JC. Meanwhile, Ukraine is not alone in international recruitment. Russia operates in the same markets. Ortiz claims that some of Colombia's FARC guerrillas are fighting for Russia. In addition, the publication writes, Russians take the Ukrainian program seriously. Bezhevets said that Russian intelligence regularly tries to obtain information about people from abroad who are fighting for Ukraine. Ortiz says that his Colombian home address appeared on Russian networks, and now he is afraid to go home. Another challenge for foreigners is that Russia does not exchange their prisoners. A group of Latin Americans interviewed by The Economist said they would not test this theory. The Russians can kill you, but if they leave you alive, it's not a life worth living, said Infant from Colombia.
Saeed Azadi, the head of the Palestinian division in the IRGC Quds force, was killed in an Israeli strike on an apartment in the Iranian city of Qom, Defense Minister Israel Katz said. Katz said Azadi funded and armed Hamas ahead of the October 7 massacre. A huge achievement for Israeli intelligence and the Israeli Air Force. Justice for the murdered and the hostages. Israel's long arm will reach all its enemies, he added. Earlier this year, Katz revealed an intelligence document showing that then Hamas leaders Yahya Sinwar and Mohammed Deif had sent a letter to Iran's IRGC Quds force commander Esmail Khani in June 2021, seeking support for the terror group's plans to invade Israel, which were ultimately carried out on October 7, 2023. In the document, the Hamas leaders ask of the commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps' Quds force to transfer $500 million for destroying the State of Israel, Katz said. Azadi accepted the request and replied to them that Iran, despite its difficult economic situation and the plight of the Iranian population, will continue to funnel money to Hamas, because the struggle against Israel and the US is the top priority of the Iranian regime, Katz said at the time. Besides, Israel Defense Forces has announced that the country's air force has killed the commander of the 2nd Drone Brigade of the Iranian Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Air Force, Aminpour Jadaki. The Israeli Air Force struck and killed Aminpour Jadaki, commander of the 2nd Drone Brigade of the IRGC Air Force, the IDF statement reads. It is noted that Jadaki took up the position after the IDF killed former commander of the 2nd UAV Brigade of the IRGC Air Force, Tahirpour, on June 13 and oversaw hundreds of UAV attacks on Israeli territory from the Awaz region in southwestern Iran. Iranian media reported that 11 members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps were killed during Israeli attacks. 11 IRGC members were killed during an Israeli airstrike on the city of Bastinabad, the report said. An Iranian missile slammed into the main hospital in southern Israel, wounding people and causing extensive damage, according to the medical facility. Another missile hit a high-rise building and several other residential buildings in at least 2 sites near Tel Aviv. At least 240 people were wounded in the attacks. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz blamed Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and said the military has been instructed and knows that in order to achieve all of its goals, this man absolutely should not continue to exist. Khamenei openly declares that he wants Israel destroyed. He personally gives the order to fire on hospitals, Katz told journalists in the city of Holon near Tel Aviv. Such a man can no longer be allowed to exist. When asked about Khamenei on a visit to Beersheba on Thursday, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said, "I have made it clear that no one is immune." But he added, "In war, I believe one must choose words carefully and execute actions with precision." A senior U.S. official told AFP on Sunday that President Donald Trump had found out that the Israelis had plans to hit Iran's supreme leader. President Trump was against it and we told the Israelis not to, said the U.S. official, speaking on condition of anonymity. Netanyahu has neither confirmed nor denied the claim. Israel, meanwhile, carried out strikes on Iran's Arak heavy water reactor, its latest attack on Iran's sprawling nuclear program. Iranian state television said there was no radiation danger whatsoever, and that the facility had been evacuated before the attack. Ahead of the Israeli strikes near Rasht in Iran, the Israeli military put out a warning urging the public to flee the area around Rasht's industrial city, which sits about a few kilometers southwest of the city's downtown. The Israelis did not immediately describe what they sought to destroy in the area. However, with Iran's internet being shut off to the outside world, it's unclear just how many people in Iran would be able to see the message. Meanwhile, Iran's state-run television and radio stations offer irregular updates on what's happening inside of the country, instead focusing their time on the damage wrought by their strikes on Israel.